Without IT's support, digital championship would at best be a dream. But thanks to our Chief Information Officer, our digital dreams are coming true one by one. Let's hear it from the man himself, Asif bhai. Asif bhai, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good too. So bhaiya, today we want to give the viewers an idea about who you are as a person, because আপনি CIO হিসেবে কিরকম এটা তো আমরা মোটামুটি সবাই জানি, বাট এরকম অনেক কিছু আছে আপনার ব্যাপারে যেটা হয়তো আমরা জানি না। সো ভাইয়া, শুরুতে যদি একটু জানি যে আপনার শৈশবে আপনার স্মৃতিগুলো কেমন ছিল, লাইক হাউ ওয়্যার ইউ অ্যাজ আ চাইল্ড?
I think I was a very ordinary child. There's nothing special about me.
No, bhaiya, I disagree.
Honestly,
I think there is no ordinary child. Every child has something special.
That's true, but from an audience standpoint, there's nothing extraordinary that I did. But I was, as usual, a child who tried everything, right? Prochur maar khetam, right? And I'm obviously, I'm pretty sure that this is pretty much the story for any Bangladeshi kid, right, who tries to venture out. So I tried to venture out on everything. Everything that came as an opportunity, I grabbed that. Whether I was ready for it or not, as a child, I never measured, right? So when I got the steering at class 5, I thought that I am capable of driving, and I had disastrous experience, right? So it is, as a child, as I said, that I took every opportunity that came along. But one thing that I did not compromise on is my studies, because bashay jeta chilo je if I was producing good results, everything else was secondary. Right? So I knew that. So I cracked that very early, that my mom was a doctorate and she was teaching in of course in a Dhaka college back then I think, yeah. So everything was okay to her if I'm getting good grades. So
বাকি সব মাফ আর
সাতক্ষণ মাফ,
পড়াশোনা ঠিক থাকলেই হবে,
পড়াশোনা ঠিক থাকলে। So that I cracked pretty early, and that's how I grew up. So over the years, I think over the years, another thing about my childhood is that I think as I was exposed to anything and everything, I pretty much grabbed the practical side of life pretty early, right? Bill dawa, bajar kora, everything. So I was not a kid who would not know stuffs like farm chicken. No.
Right. So you knew all the basic life skills from a very early age.
Pretty much.
That's very beneficial. এটা আসলে সব বাচ্চারই করা উচিত, বাট অনেকে একটু দেরিতে শেখে, আপনি একটু আগেই শিখে ফেলেছেন।
Exactly.
Very good for you. So ভাইয়া, এরপরে আপনার শৈশব তো শেষ, তো এরপর আপনার ক্যারিয়ার ডিসিশনের যখন সময়টা আসলো, how did you decide that? এটা তো আসলে ইউজুয়ালি এসএসসি থেকেই শুরু হয়।
True.
So how did you decide that, and কোন দিকে পরে গেলেন?
I think what I wanted to be when I was a kid approaching SSC didn't happen, right? Because back then I thought that right after my college I would land into the tier 1, those Ivy League in US, exactly, yeah. And then life would take on sort of from there. Never happened, because after as I was in cadet college,
yes,
right, so right after passing my HSC, I thought that the best thing a man can do is to join Bangladesh Army. Right. That is how the motivation, whole thing was working. The emotional part of parents, that we want you to be imagine yourself in the shoes of a captain or major. So that worked. So I joined Army. So even then, there was a 360-degree shift from what I wanted to be, landing in Ivy League, then what really happened, landing into Bangladesh Military Academy and getting into the Schwarz Dreams. So I think that was a shift. But when I left Army, when I realized that this is not my cup of tea, I think then I started to visualize that what I want to be. So ওই সময় I think when I was doing undergrad, right, in applied physics and electronics, so I wanted a career what would to me mean a lot. So what I wanted to be is there something that I enjoy. That's it. So back then it was, of course, I was studying with I was day in day out I was absorbed in electronics. So I wanted a career which is the tough career, which is more like IT or backbone, or yeah. So I think it was sophomore or junior levels in undergrad where I sort of decided that probably I want to be
an IT guy
or a technologist. or a technology evangelist, what I call.
Oh, okay. That's a new term I learned.
Is it? Evangelist is a nice term.
Yes, it is. So, Bhaiya, after you came back, I'm assuming that you did it abroad?
No, so I did my master's in UTS and then I came back after.
Okay. So, so after you came back, how did your career take on from there? Like, which were the companies that you worked in, or was telco the first industry you worked in?
I think when I came back with my heads pretty high, that I have a very good master degree with a good grades, but my start of career in Bangladesh was very less than ordinary actually. I joined as a contractual employee in Siemens. Right?
Siemens?
Yeah, because then Siemens just got a huge deal from Banglalink to set up their whole network, right? Back then Banglalink was part of Orascom, an Egyptian holding group. So I was taken as a contractual employee. So all right, let us try him. So I think that was pretty good. And when I look back now, I think that it was excellent that I was not given a ride like a GT. I was given a ride like a very ordinary guy who had to prove his worth on every step. Right. It was pretty tough. I joined in radio network, and then within 6 months I could prove that I'm better. I probably have better worth if I'm tried into computing, intelligent network. Back then it was called. So within 6 months, the management, I was reporting to German management, and I'm thankful to Allah that I had a reporting structure in Siemens that was absolutely top notch, because my reporting management was from Germany, and those people would seek out talent from yourself. Even if you're a less than ordinary guy, they would seek out that, they would unearth that thing in you, and they would try to give you the best from that side. So that was the case for me. Within 6 months, then they said, all right, let's put him into the computing part of technology, and then from there on, I think I never looked back, in short.
So how has your experience been in the telco industry, to be particular?
I think it's 20 years is pretty much in telco.
20 years, that's a long time.
That's a lot. I'm a veteran, exactly. Yeah. So I have seen it all, right? From G to 2G to 2.5 to 3, and
now 5G is almost
now
coming.
5G is on the door. Actually, it has already, it has been deployed in some part of the world. So it has been remarkable in a way that it's like the same thing, right? I don't know about you, when I use telephone, it was like this, right? They were dialing keys and everything, right? Then it shifted. So the term telephony maybe, or telecom as such, has not probably changed its definition, but the way we use the services have come along
a very long way.
Very long way, right? So along with it, it has given new experiences, new excitements, new challenges. So though it's one industry that I have been, I've spent like more than 20 years plus, but it has never been short of throwing excitements to my way. So that kept me going in telecom.
Okay, wonderful, Bhaiya. So we heard a lot about your work and everything, but now we want to know more about your family.
Okay.
So কে কে আছে আপনার ফ্যামিলিতে ভাইয়া?
আমার ফ্যামিলিতে, the first family, of course, I have my beautiful wife. Right. She's from business background. She has been in Grameen Phone for a decade, and she
competitors.
Yeah. But she sacrificed her career when I was posted outside. So she left her job, and then we went together. But I have 3 kids. My eldest is a daughter. She is approaching her O-level exam.
Okay.
Yeah, so pretty tight. And the next one is a son. He's in grade 3, and the youngest is a daughter. She's she'll be turning 5 on 13 December.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and I have my mom, staying with me.
Okay, so that's a pretty nice,
closely knit family. You can
closely
say.
knit family.
Yeah.
So, how do you like to spend your time with your family, or is there any personal passion that you have, passion project or something
in the
in
family?
your free time? It could be with your family or something that you want to do by yourself.
No, so I'm an avid sport lover. So whenever I can squeeze out some time, I really want myself to be updated on the platform, that I'm able to say that what's happening on tennis, what's happening on football, cricket. These are the top 3 sports that I really follow, and Formula 1. Yeah. Apart from that, with kids, I think I have an atmosphere in my home that nobody gets a position by design, right? I'm not a father by design. So I'm a member of the family who is equally vulnerable and exposed to anybody, right? So that gives me a lot of ease. I don't have to really practice fatherhood all the time. I can be an absolute friend to my daughter or my son. So yeah, so that's how I spend my time. Whenever we get time, we group in.
That's a wonderful dynamic to have.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah. Because if you're too strict, then
exactly.
then
you create boundaries, right?
Yeah,
so there's no boundary at my home.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So ভাইয়া অনেক শুনলাম আপনার শখ, আপনার ফ্যামিলি, অনেক কিছু শুনলাম. So ভাইয়া, let's come back to work for a little bit.
Sure.
So since as like Robi is going towards the digital direction, we're already there, but there are still a long way to go.
Right.
So since you're the CIO, like how do you think that IT can have like significant role in the future of our company?
I think so. We are in the business of technology, right? Right. Our products, as I always say, that our products do not leave the manufacturing plant and be consumed by the consumers when the plant is shut. It doesn't happen like that, right? It's a plant which needs to be alive and kicking whenever your consumers are consuming your services, right? It has to be live. So from that definition, from that point of view, from day one since now, it has all been technology, right? So we are a technology founded company. So as an IT is integral part of everything and anything that we offer to our consumers, right? Be it any product, it can be a digital value, it can be as simple as paying your bills. Everything is IT here. So I believe that the newer technology, especially after 3G came, where we saw a huge drift from voice to data and data-driven products, I think the ecosystem has drastically, skewed towards information technology. Right. And going forward, when you will have 5G and all the value that 5G will bring on the table are completely technology driven, right? Ecosystem driven. So I believe that IT there's no way to get it out and then look at telecom industry from an externality. It has to be, and it will remain as an integral part of technology business, as we call it telecom, as long as the technology business is alive. So that's how we see it.
So like IT has obviously been the driver for innovation. So what would you say is the most innovative thing that Robi has done so far in terms of innovation?
I think if you look at Robi, the biggest thing about Robi is that innovation comes to Robi quite naturally, right? So we don't really do innovation for the sake of doing innovation. That's pretty important, right? You can't change your DNA and do something which gives you accolades, right? You can't. So for Robi, I think the biggest thing is that we have been quite natural in bringing innovation into the bloodline, right? So that's the biggest thing that Robi has done over last 4-5 years. What I've seen that it has been a steady cultural shift in Robi to try innovation. I think that's the biggest achievement by itself, right? Innovation has been put into the DNA of the company. Second thing is that if you're measuring results, if you look out and see that portfolio of digital portfolio that we have from Robi, everything has been brought mostly from the in-house digital kitchen, from IT. Right? So I think that's the biggest thing. I think you see, digital distribution, right? Digital financial system that we have now. If you look at our entertainment or infotainment, everything, the platforms have been built in-house. You talk about IoT, you talk about we are talking about the 5G driven value chain. We are thinking of completely driving that in-house. So all those things in the last 4-5 years are the biggest example of innovation from Robi.
So Bhaiya, as we are entering the fourth industrial revolution,
we have already entered.
We have already entered.
Yes.
So what do you think it is like for Robi to have a subsidiary like Red Dot? So what do you think about that?
I think big about that. If you want one answer, I think big about that, because the reason that Robi, by being Robi, cannot do or try a lot of things is because we are governed within the telecom framework, right? But ICT is it gives you the full span. So Red Dot has that span under them, right? So whatever is 4IR, whatever is ICT, whatever is value creation in terms of providing technology, I think Red Dot can try and will be able to do everything and anything that's under the horizon, right? So from that angle, I think sky is the limit for Red Dot, and we at Robi are super excited that Red Dot will live up to that expectation for us.
Okay, Bhaiya. So since we're talking about the near future and the future, so where do you think Robi's innovation journey is going to take us in the next 5 years?
I think if you look at last 5 years, telecom business is changing, right? It's one business that's under continuous transformation. Next 5 years will not be different.
Right.
So from that angle, I think that dependence or growing reliance on data-driven digital products will rise, and telcos will have to be compatible, for providing all the services that consumers and business enterprise. So the biggest shift that we'll see in the next 5 years is that from consumer to, I would say that selected enterprise business model will give you an upper hand for Robi. So the focus from our side would be what in 5G terms is called, I wanted to use the term NPN. So there's a non-public network concept growing all over the places for 5G. I think that for Robi, next 5 years we'll be creating as I said, value system for enterprises built for their purposes under the 5G framework. That is what is probably be a bit different than what we were supposed to, what we were doing for the last 5-6 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we hope that these are our plans for the next 10 years as well, and we go to the direction we are already going.
Right.
So Bhaiya, that's all the questions I had for you. Is there anything you want to tell the viewers? Anything about yourself, or any message that you want to spread?
I think, as a person, if you are growing through the corporate ladders, I think the most important thing to remember is that without compromising your core values, you have to learn how to be yourself a marketable product, right?
Marketable product.
Yeah, so every person who wants to grow through the ladder, who wants to build a career in telecom or in any industry as such, you yourself can only desire that once you have yourself become a product that's marketable. So you have to look at the mirror and tell that, yes, I want to buy this product, in a different terms, of course, right? So I think that's one thing that we should keep telling ourselves. As I was telling last week somebody, that try to be a better version of yourself every day, and it's possible. So that would be my message, that if you are willing to gun for something, be the product that you want to buy. That's it.
That is a wonderful message, Bhaiya. So thank you so much for giving us your time.
My pleasure.
And to the viewers, it was so wonderful to learn all this information about Asif Bhaiya. And in future, we hope to learn more about you.
Sure.
But for today, this is all. Inshallah, keep being with us, and we're going to come with more content. Thank you.